The decision that costs you thousands on a Barndominium may be made long before construction begins. Make the house larger than your lifestyle needs, and you're not just adding another room. You may be adding more foundation, roofing, exterior materials, finishes, heating, cooling, and long-term maintenance. And that's only one of 5 decisions where an early choice can subtly reshape the entire project. Some mistakes increase the cost before construction begins. Others don't reveal themselves until the plans are finalized, or worse, until the home is already being built. The final decision is especially important because it can determine whether money is being spent on things that are difficult to change later or on upgrades that could have waited. Welcome to Modern Luxury Homes USA. I'm Mason, and here we break down the design, building, and cost decisions behind smarter homes. In this video, we'll look at 5 Barndominium decisions that can shape your build long before construction begins. Kindly subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more practical insights to help you plan with greater confidence. Let's begin with the decision that affects almost everything else, the size and shape of the home itself. The first example is the 30 by 40 starter Barndominium footprint, a simple 1,200 square foot building form commonly used for compact living layouts. Beside it is a 40 by 60 footprint. That's 2,400 square feet before you even decide how much of the structure becomes finished living space. Here's why the difference matters more than it looks on paper. More footprint can mean more slab or foundation work. More enclosed area can increase roofing, exterior materials, insulation, and mechanical demands. And every additional square foot should have a clear purpose, because a simpler rectangular form is often easier to build cleanly than one with numerous projections or wings, depending on the design and local requirements. Before adding square footage, ask one question: what will this space do for us every week that the rest of the house cannot already do? Because a large home can feel like success during the planning stage, but in use, square footage can become something you paid to build, furnish, heat, cool, and maintain without receiving much back from it. There's also a hidden cost that shows up years later. A bigger footprint often means a bigger roof to eventually replace, more exterior wall to eventually repaint or reseal, and more square footage for property tax assessments to account for. None of that shows up on move-in day. It shows up gradually in maintenance schedules and utility bills that stretch a little further every season. That doesn't mean bigger is wrong. A growing family, a home office that needs clear separation from the rest of the house, or a multi-generational household with 2 people who both need private space can justify the 40 by 60 footprint without hesitation. The mistake isn't choosing more space. It's choosing more space without naming what that space is for. But choosing the right size doesn't guarantee you've used that space well. 2 homes can have similar square footage, yet one can make daily life feel effortless while the other silently drains both space and money. For this decision, we're looking at a classic split-bedroom Barndominium layout. The primary suite is separated from the secondary bedrooms, with the kitchen, dining, and great room forming the shared center of the home. We'll compare that with a traditional clustered bedroom layout, where the bedrooms sit closer together and the circulation pattern is more compact. This isn't about declaring a winner. It's about knowing what to examine. Look at the hallway space, the distance between bedrooms and bathrooms, where the laundry sits in relation to where the laundry gets generated, how much storage exists and where, the route groceries take from the entry to the kitchen, how the kitchen connects to the living area, and how much noise and privacy each bedroom really gets from the next. A floor plan can look perfect when nobody is living inside it. The real test happens on an ordinary morning, when someone is getting ready for work, another person needs the bathroom, laundry needs to move across the house, groceries are coming through the door, and the kitchen becomes the center of everything at once. Before approving a plan, mentally live inside it. Walk through a normal day, not a perfect day. The split-bedroom layout tends to earn its popularity for a specific reason. It gives the primary suite true distance from the secondary bedrooms, which matters most in households where people wake, sleep, and work on different schedules. The cluster bedroom layout earns its own place for different households, smaller families, single-story efficiency, or homeowners who value shorter walking distances over separation. Neither layout is universally correct. The mistake is picking one because it photographs well without testing it against how the household really moves through a week. And it's worth remembering that finishes are often chosen after the floor plan is already locked in. Countertops, cabinet color, and flooring can be adjusted later with far less disruption than a hallway that's too narrow or a laundry room that's 3 rooms away from the bedrooms that generate the laundry. Get the bones right first. The finishes are the easier conversation to have later. A layout that forces a costly do-over. Moving a wall, rerouting plumbing, adding a hallway after the fact can turn a small floor plan oversight into one of the most expensive corrections in the entire build. But even the smartest floor plan exists only on paper until it meets the property beneath it. And that's where a home that looked affordable can begin facing costs the floor plan never showed you. Get the land and building site right. Picture 2 rural building sites side by side. One is a relatively level parcel with practical access and nearby utility connections. The other is raw land, where more clearing, grading, drainage, and utility work may be required before the home can even begin. A cheaper piece of land can become an expensive building site. Here's what can hide inside that difference: clearing, grading, drainage, driveway access, soil and foundation requirements, running electricity, securing water, adding a well or septic system where needed, and navigating permits and local requirements. Site and utility conditions can materially change total project costs before interior work even begins. Before asking, "Can I afford this land?" ask, "What has to happen before this land is ready to support the home I want?" The frustrating part is that much of this spending may never appear in the finished home's photographs, but it can still be necessary before anyone can comfortably move in. This is also where a lot of first-time buyers get caught off guard, because land price and land readiness are 2 completely separate conversations. A parcel priced well below others nearby may be priced that way precisely because of what it lacks: road frontage, utility proximity, favorable soil, or usable topography. None of that is visible from a listing photo. It usually only becomes visible once a site evaluation or soil test comes back, which is exactly why that step belongs early in the process, not after a purchase is already final. The build-ready site isn't always the more exciting purchase, but it's often the one where more of the budget ends up visible in the finished home rather than buried in the ground beneath it. If practical home-building insights like these are useful, a quick like helps this video reach more people planning their own homes. Even with the right land, the budget can still shift by a wide margin once the design begins asking the structure to do more than it first appears. Get the structural design and roof line right. 2 roof designs, same general category of home, very different amounts of work behind them. One is a simple rectangular single-story barndominium with a straightforward gable roof. The other is an L-shaped barndominium with an additional wing and more roof intersections. Every added corner and roof intersection introduces more complicated geometry and often more engineering or framing considerations to work through. The same is true of covered porches, attached wings, large window openings, and vaulted spaces with wide spans. Design complexity can affect engineering, framing, roofing, and overall construction scope. The exact impact depends on the building system and local project conditions. Every additional roof valley is also a place where water can find its way in if it isn't built and flashed correctly, which is exactly the kind of detail that can turn a simple design choice into an expensive callback years later. But the goal isn't to make every barndominium a plain box. The goal is to understand what each architectural decision asks the project to do, and whether that feature earns its place in the budget. A covered porch may become the part of the home you use most. A vaulted great room may completely transform the feeling of the interior. Complexity isn't automatically wasteful, but it should solve a real lifestyle or design need. A useful way to test this while the design is still on paper: for every added wing, porch, or vaulted ceiling, ask what daily behavior changes. A covered porch that becomes the family's evening gathering spot is solving something concrete. A second architectural wing added mainly for exterior symmetry, with no room inside it that anyone asked for, is solving a visual problem instead of a living problem. Both cost money. Only one tends to feel worth it 5 years in. And that brings us to the decision that often determines whether a budget stays focused or slowly gets pulled in 5 different directions. Get your spending priorities right before you start selecting upgrades. Not every dollar has the same ability to change your mind later. Some decisions are noticeably harder to change once construction is underway. Depending on the project, that can include major layout decisions, plumbing locations, structural features, building orientation, foundation and site planning, and major openings like windows and doors. Other decisions tend to stay flexible longer. Depending on the installation, that can include paint, some lighting, decorative finishes, certain fixtures, furniture and decor, and some future built-ins. A smarter priority list starts by asking what would be most expensive, disruptive, or impractical to change after construction is complete. That doesn't mean buying the cheapest version of everything else. It means knowing which decisions deserve to be settled before the walls go up, and which upgrades can remain flexible. Think of it as 2 separate budgets living inside one project. The first budget covers decisions that get sealed behind drywall, poured into concrete, or built into the frame. Decisions where changing your mind later can mean tearing something out. The second budget covers decisions you can still touch, see, and adjust after move-in. Spending generously on the first category, where getting it right the first time truly matters, and staying flexible on the second category, where taste and budget can evolve over time, tends to protect a project far better than spreading the same caution evenly across every decision. And that's the connection between all 5 decisions. The biggest financial mistake isn't always buying the most expensive feature. Sometimes it's paying once for a decision you later discover you have to change. The footprint affects the floor plan. The floor plan affects the way you live. The land influences what the foundation and utilities may require. The structural design affects complexity, and your priorities determine where the budget is protected. A barndominium isn't just a collection of separate choices. It's a system of decisions, and the strongest plans are often the ones where those decisions support one another instead of competing for the same money. If you were planning a barndominium, which of these 5 decisions would you spend the most time getting right? The footprint, floor plan, building site, structural design, or budget priorities? Share your choice, and what would influence that decision most? One question that naturally follows from these decisions is what a barndominium can realistically cost once the shell, site work, utilities, finishes, and labor are all considered together. That's another important part of the bigger picture we'll continue exploring. The decision that costs thousands isn't always the one that looks dramatic. Sometimes it's an extra section of the house that wasn't truly needed, a layout that looked good but didn't work for daily life, land that was affordable to buy but expensive to prepare, a design feature added without understanding its wider impact, or a budget spent on the wrong priorities too early. Getting these decisions right won't make every barndominium cost the same, and no plan can remove every surprise from construction. But thoughtful decisions made early can give the entire project a stronger foundation before construction ever begins. A smarter home doesn't begin with a bigger budget. It begins with better decisions.